Hello YouTubers, this is the Gold Standard 00924 coming at you with another video. I'm going to be doing a top 10 Royal Rumble pay-per-view matches, a countdown list. Considering that the Royal Rumble is up tonight, I figure I kind of wrap up this whole installment by doing basically a summary of my top 10 favorite Royal Rumble pay-per-view matches. When I meant to say like Royal Rumble pay-per-view matches, I don't mean like the 30-man Royal Rumbles that have happened over the years. I'm talking about basically the undercard sort of matches that are usually in the Royal Rumble match, or excuse me, the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. I don't know, you just get it mixed up so easily. But just basically, like I said, the undercard matches, like the world, like where it'd be like a world title match or a tag team match, or just a straight up one-on-one match that doesn't have any title defenses whatsoever. But that's the type of kind of matches that you'll expect to see in this video, as far as Royal Rumble is as a pay-per-view and not just the match itself. Just to kind of clear up for you. So yeah, just gonna start with my top 10 list, and hope you enjoy it. Coming in at number 10, I have the Dudley Boys taking on the Hardy Boys in a tables match from Royal Rumble 2000. And this was a really great tag team match. This is the first pay-per-view, to my knowledge, that even incorporated it as a tables match. Basically, you have to eliminate two of your opponents by, of course, putting them through a table. And, this was just very great just to see these two teams. They just really gel well. And, basically you got to see, the Hardy Boys doing their thing with their high-flying moves, and Dudley Boys just trying to use more of their hardcore elements in the match. I think my favorite part has to be the part where the Hardy Boys did a double team leg drop on Bubba Ray through a table to eliminate him. It was a little botch at first because the timing was a little off from one of those Hardy Boys, but that's one of my favorite parts regardless. And especially maybe towards the end of the match where Jeff Hardy did that swanton bomb off the balcony, and he did a swanton bomb right off Devon, I believe, and I think it was two stacked tables. I could be wrong, but he did a swanton bomb on Devon through a table, and that's how the Hardy Boys pretty much won the match there. So this was a really good tables match. Number 10. Number 9. This match I have here is a Triple H versus HBK in a Last Man Standing match from Royal Rumble 2004. Now, Triple H and HBK had a series of matches even prior to this. Triple H and HBK fought, in that in one match on Raw. It was for the World Heavyweight title. It was the final Raw of 2003, which ended pretty controversially because Shawn Michaels did a super kick on Triple H, and he laid for a pinfall, but then Eric Bischoff came out and reversed the decision, and that Shawn Michaels shoulder was down or something. But yeah, it was still great. It was a great TV style match, and that's how kind of the whole build up was, just kind of a return bout. This time being a last man standing match. This was pretty brutal for what it was. I won't say it was as good as maybe their street fight match from SummerSlam 02 or their Hell in a Cell match from Bad Blood 04. But for what it was, this was actually a really good one. It was just, I don't know. There aren't really any memorable spots, really. Just Triple H, HBK were just, tearing each other apart. And the only thing I can remember from that match was when HBK did a super kick on Triple H. I think it was grabbing a weapon or something, but then Shawn Michaels used kind of a last resort by doing that sweet chin music, and then both men were down, and the match ended in a draw. So this match was, like I said, was really enjoyable. I just won't say it was as good as their SummerSlam 02 or Bad Blood later that year. No one really talks about the 3 Stages of Hell match they had at Armageddon 02, but I will say the Last Man Standing match was still better than the Armageddon 02 match. The most of the 3 Stages of Hell no one really talks about, and it just felt very rushed. But the last man standing match, I would say, was a slight improvement from that. But they had very better encounters. Let's just put it that. So number 9, Triple H HBK in the last man standing match. Excuse me. Number 8, there's another last man standing match from Royal Rumble 07. We had John Cena versus Umaga. Royal Rumble 07. Yeah, basically. Umaga was really hitting the stride, just being like this unstoppable powerhouse, with Armando Estrada as his manager. And Umaga also had his, he went through this winning streak up until he lost to Cena at New Year's Revolution. And then basically Cena and Umaga had a rematch with being a last man standing match to pretty much culminate to their feud. But this match was really, really good. Maybe I would say it even tops it over Triple H versus HBK's from Royal Rumble 4. Just some really great back and forth action. I would say this is probably one of Cena's best matches. I mean, I know a lot of people would probably like bashing me because I personally don't like Cena and all, especially the way his character is being portrayed in recent years. But even I personally didn't even like his Reign of Terror that he had in 07. But for what it was, he did have some pretty good matches like this one. And I think my favorite part has to be like where Umaga did that running body splash from like one announce table to another. I think that's probably one of my favorite moments of that match. And and then it John Cena had to put up a fight against Umaga as well. So it's really kind of a shame Umaga didn't have a world title reign. Unfortunately, and due to like some of the drug tests that he failed, and then after a couple months after he got fired, he suddenly passed away. Rest in peace, Umaga. You could have been a big star if, but it didn't happen basically. But despite all that, Umaga just put a hell of a fight. He didn't have to get pinned or submitted in this type of match. I personally think that they should have ended his losing streak in the last man standing instead of having him get pinned by Cena. Instead just have this whole basically Umaga's should have lost that whole streak at Royal Rumble basically. So that's basically what I was trying to talk about. It's not like he got pinned or submitted in this match, but Umaga just fell unconscious when like John Cena did that STF, with the video cam, with the wires, basically, it was wrapping around his neck. This is a really great match. So number 8, John Cena versus Umaga. Number 7, gonna go back in time in the 90s, and this match was really, really good. Undertaker versus Bret Hart from Royal Rumble 1996. This is basically Bret Hart had won the belt from Diesel at Survivor Series 95. And, for the majority of that year, Bret Hart was stuck in these upper mid-card feuds. He was hardly in the world title scene. Same with The Undertaker as well. He was feuding with, like, the $1 Million Corporation. And, it just kind of all came together when Bret Hart and Undertaker finally had that chance to really showcase what they can do in the ring, as far as like headlining a pay-per-view is concerned. And for the WWE title or WF title at the time, this was a really great match. Start off with Undertaker pretty much dominating for most of it, the first half, and then Bret Hart coming back for the second. Bret Hart, working on Undertaker's legs, like trying to, Undertaker had to put up a really good fight in this match, I would say. For the majority of like a couple years before this, Undertaker was just facing all these big men monsters, all these powerhouse monsters. But this was kind of, just refreshing in a way, This was kind of, Undertaker facing like the small guys, just the technical wrestlers. That's Bret Hart. And, it was a really good back and forth match. Unfortunately, Undertaker had the match won when he nailed the tombstone on Bret Hart, and but then like Diesel pulled pulled away the referee to ringside, and you know, and then like Undertaker won by disqualification, but he doesn't win the title. So yeah, I mean, it was still a great match despite the finish, but this was supposed to kind of advance the Undertaker Diesel feud for WrestleMania 12. You know, they will have a match there, and you know, this is probably one of my favorite matches from the '90s. So Bret Hart versus Undertaker from Royal Rumble '96 comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6, I have another Bret Hart match, which is him taking on Razor Ramon for the WF title at Royal Rumble 1993. This is basically Bret Hart's, you know, basically when he was new to the main event scene. He won the belt from Ric Flair back around October of '92, and you know, just some great chain wrestling, a very underrated encounter. You know, not a lot of people seem to talk about this match a lot. You know, people, you know, I mean, I'm granted, you know, I was very little at the time. I would likely have vague memories around this time, so I was just kind of, I wasn't even toilet trained yet, just put it that. But, you know, Bret Hart, Razor Ramon, just by watching the match, you know, it was just some really great back and forth. I mean, it's really a shame they didn't really have a whole lot of encounters as far as like pay-per-views I'm concerned. And I mean, I'm pretty sure they might have fought in like other times on like episodes of Raw or Superstars, which was like the B show at the time. But you know, Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon, I mean, this is a really great match. You know, it's kind of a shame no one really talks about it as much, but I always thought this was probably one of Bret Hart's shining moments as far as being the world champion is concerned. And yeah, I mean, some great counters. Bret Hart, you know, winning the match via sharpshooter on Razor Ramon. So yeah, I mean, this is, yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So number 6, Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon. Number 5, I have the Rockers taking on the Orient Express from Royal Rumble 1991. You know, for this to be kind of like the opening bout at that year's Royal Rumble, I mean, just the crowd was just really into this whole thing, and you know, I mean, just the chemistry between the two teams just really clicked, and you know, the crowd was really into the match. And it really kind of shows that, you know, like the undercard could still get big pops just as much as the main eventers, unlike today where it's like you have to be like a main eventer in order to get like big pops like that. But I mean, there's some occasions, like if you live in like in Canada or like in New York, where it's like a bunch of smart marks just rooting for their favorite wrestler, or like a certain wrestler that they adore. But other than that, you know, I mean, unless you're like a main event type of caliber guy, I mean, you're not gonna get big pops like this in this day and age. But you know, I mean, the Rockers versus Orient Express. I mean, I was gonna move on from that, but the Rockers versus Orient Express was just, you know, just great chemistry. You know, the Rockers, you know, I mean, they did a great job. I think both of them did a great job, actually. Gorilla Monsoon, Roddy Piper, really, you know, just terrific job on commentary, just trying to put this match over and showcase as to like why we should care about these two teams. I think my favorite part has to be where the Rockers, like, before that, you know, the Orient Express the two members try to do a back suplex, but then like the Rockers countered it at the same time and then drop kicked their opponents at the same time. I mean, that was probably really one of my favorite moments. Just, you know, like I said, the chemistry really gelled well, and then basically the Rockers won the match when Marty Jannetty did that sunset flip to get the win. But this wasn't, I don't think this was for the tag team titles. I don't think the tag belts were on the line. So kind of really goes to show you, I mean, it was just a really great match. So number 5, the Rockers taking on the Orient Express. Number 4, we have Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho in the ladder match for the Intercontinental title. And this was from Royal Rumble 2001. Now, you know, just basically the chemistry between Benoit and Jericho. Just I really enjoyed their series of matches. I liked their match, back when they were in WCW from Fall Brawl '96. I liked their match from Backlash 2000. Despite the DQ finish, and I want to say their submission match from Judgment Day 2000 was really good. And they also find like 2 out of 3 falls at SummerSlam also in 2000. But a lot of people say the match was kind of rushed, but I thought it was okay. But I do think they had much better encounters. But I do think the ladder match from Royal Rumble '01 was really where they stepped up. Just some great back and forth. Just using like the ladders, like Benoit did like a diving headbutt off the ladder, even though like Chris Jericho like dodged it. Jericho did like the walls of Jericho on Benoit on top of the ladder. And there was also one moment where Benoit tried to do a suicide dive, but then like Jericho kind of used the steel chair as kind of like a shield to deflect the suicide dive. For what it was, this match was really enjoyable. But unfortunately, this match isn't going to be remembered because Benoit's in it, and we all know the whole incident, that kind of led to WWE not acknowledging Benoit, which is understandable. I can't blame WWE. So, but, for what it was, this is probably one of my favorite encounters from these two. And, they both trained the Heart Dungeon, so of course they'll likely have very similar wrestling styles, just with a different twist. So, number 4, the Benoit Jericho in the ladder match. Number 3 is Triple H versus Cactus Jack in a street fight. This is from Royal Rumble 2000. This match was very, very brutal, given them being a Mick Foley match that's going to involve hardcore tactics. And, this crowd was just really on fire. It's Madison Square. Just basically Triple H, the way he was, he played so hard in this match, and, as a result of Cactus Jack utilizing the barbed wire on him, just hitting him multiple times with it. And I think there was like a pile driver spot on the announce table as well, or it was a pedigree, but it was just, when you watch like a Mick Foley match, it's going to be really good, especially when his specialty is going to be a hardcore match. But I'll say, Triple H, I'll say this was kind of his defining moment as far as being a main eventer is concerned. His first 2 title reigns just weren't really that memorable, but when he got to like his 3rd title reign, I do think that's where he truly shined, in my opinion. And especially in this match, and at the end of the match, Triple H did like 2 pedigrees on Cactus Jack through like thumbtacks, and basically retained the WF title. So yeah, this was a very brutal match. The crowd just ate up this whole match, and it was just really a great moment for both these guys. But unfortunately, despite the fact that these guys just really, it just really sucks to be one of those guys in the match. So yeah, number 3, Triple H versus Cactus Jack in a street fight. Number 2, this is going to be a far cry from all those gimmick matches that I mentioned on here, and this has to be on this list. Well, I wouldn't say it has to be on the list, just to rephrase that. But fortunately, because of just like number 4, where they can't acknowledge this match because of this double murder suicide incident. Of course, they're not going to acknowledge it. But number 2, but despite all that, for its time, this match was just really showed what these two could do. And the match I'm talking about is from Royal Rumble 2003 between Kurt Angle against Chris Benoit. Angle and Benoit, like Benoit and Jericho, they both really have great chemistry in the ring. They're based on their series of matches. For the most part, they don't disappoint. I like their match from like WrestleMania 17, the Ultimate Submission match, the Iron Man match from Backlash, and the Steel Cage match they had on Raw was really good. I've seen their Unforgiven 02 match, but it's been so long since I've seen it. But the Royal Rumble 03 match, I will say this is probably one of their best known encounters. And it really showed that, you know, these guys could really tear each other apart without using hardcore elements in the match. Just straight up technical wrestling, just a lot of chain wrestling here, you know, and, you know, Benoit tried to put up a fight, good fight, and almost make it seem like Benoit was going to win the match. But he didn't, and Kurt Angle did the ankle lock on Benoit to retain the WF title. And despite the fact that Angle was a heel, I mean, and to have him win cleanly being a heel, I mean, it kind of really showed that, you know, heels don't have to cheat all the time in order to win a match. And Kurt Angle at the time had Team Angle, which, you know, had Charlie Haas, Shelton Benjamin, and he also had Paul Heyman by his side as well, and they didn't interfere in the match. So I mean, you know, for what it was, I mean, this match was really top notch, and it's fortunate that this match won't get remembered because of the whole Benoit incident, which, like I said, I can't really blame WWE for not acknowledging Benoit. I mean, he did, you know, I wouldn't forgive for what he did. So basically that. So number 2, Angle versus Chris Benoit. And the number 1 list on here that I have, one of my favorite Royal Rumble pay-per-view matches of all time, has to go to The Rock versus Mankind, the I Quit match from Royal Rumble 1999. And, you know, I mean, this match, I mean, Rock and Mick Foley just really tore it up here. You know, and a lot of people remember this because, you know, from the chair shots that Mick Foley sustained in the match, you know, The Rock just smacked Mick Foley hard with a steel chair, and then, like, Mankind was, like, handcuffed even prior to that. There was, like, a documentary on Beyond the Mat. I haven't really watched it yet, but for those people that are watching this video that have by chance, like, watched the entire documentary, probably understand where I'm coming from with that. But, you know, I mean, it was very sick at the time, and I really don't want to say, but this was probably one of their best encounters. You know, I mean, Rock and Foley did have some. I don't know why I'm just having my words mixed up, but Rock and Foley did have a good match at Survivor Series '98. You know, despite the screw job finish, and Rock joined the corporation. But this match was just really kind of one of those, probably the most memorable match out of this whole thing. And you know, the match ended when The Rock won the match when Mankind supposedly said "I quit," but he really didn't in actuality. And it turns out that the next night on Raw, that it turned out it was just a pre-taped recording when Mankind said "I quit" on Sunday Night Heat. So yeah, I mean, even though Mankind didn't really say "I quit," it was just like a pre-taped recording, and kind of really showed that, you know, it was probably a pretty clever ending in my opinion, even though it might seem pretty odd to some people. But for what it was, I mean, throughout this whole match, I mean, this is probably one of the notable Royal Rumble matches, pay-per-view matches that gets talked about a lot. So that's why I kind of put it at number 1. So yeah, The Rock versus Mankind I Quit match. So yeah, that's basically it for my top 10 Royal Rumble pay-per-view matches. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have a different list, you know, feel free to list some of your top 10 favorite Royal Rumble pay-per-view matches. You know, so yeah, I mean, that's basically it for this video. Hope you like it, and until next time, this is Gold Standard Series 924 signing out.